Hey, so today I'm just showcasing another little project I've been working on. It's a little mini arcade system that you can purchase from, well, I purchased this from Jaycar. You can purchase them online as well, but Jaycar electronics store is where I purchased this. I think online they're about 160, but I think they were on special last time I checked my local Jaycar. I'll leave links and descriptions for everything that I showcase in this video, along with links to some how-to videos. But essentially what this is a mini arcade machine casing, which sole purpose is to house Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi 3, which this is a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus, and a Raspberry Pi 4. A Raspberry Pi 4 is a bit stronger, more powerful compared to this single board, and it's a bit different in relation to the HDMI input and the power input, which I'll show you a bit later. But if you don't know, and these as well you can buy from Jaycar and online. I think they average for about $80 for the 3B and 100 or so for the Pi 4, but I think the prices have gone up lately. But what these are, they've got many users, but one of the most popular users for the Raspberry Pi, and the use I use it for, is for retro gaming. And what you can do is, once you have this all set up, there is a little slot here, and that's on all the Raspberry, the Raspberry Pi 3B Plus and 4. You essentially, with a micro SD card, you slot that into your computer, or you can buy one with an operating system on it. The operating system that you can use, or I use, to run the retro gaming is RetroPie, and the front end, which is the system that you can load all your emulators and your games on, is called Emulation Station. It's one of the more popular ones, the ones I use. But once you have your little SD card and you have your operating system on there, you can put it into there, hook this up to the mini arcade or whatever device you're going to use to house this. You can get little cases or whatnot. You can remote access it or access it from your computer through Wi-Fi, and you can simply transfer a whole heap of games onto here. And there's a little bit of configuration, not too much, when you're using these type of machines, and then you're ready to go. But I will leave links for everything to help you get along your little arcade machine. But I'll give you a bit of a closer look with this particular one. So this joystick and buttons I swapped out, but it comes with standard buttons, very similar, and joystick. I think they were pink in color. These are easy to swap out. You just unscrew these screws. You can pull this out, and underneath it's a matter of just unscrewing, unplugging, and you can get different kind of variants online. And it's as simple as just screwing those other ones in, snapping them in, and then just plugging them, and then just configuring them. But with this little machine, just replace this little joystick and these buttons. These are see-through, and I'm gonna get a USB light inside there to light them up. I've got a few little stickers that I put on, and these the artwork's not mine, but they're cool. They're just, I think they're called Chibi artwork or stickers or something to that effect. But all I did with these, just sourced. You don't have to do that with these. If you want a little bit of artwork, you can do it with anything really. You can just source any stickers or images or drawings that you find online. And what I did, I just went down to my local Officeworks and went ahead and printed, just copied all the little images or pictures or whatever onto a little USB drive and an Officeworks. Just basically printed it onto sticker paper. They can actually laminate that, print it out, cut it out, and just peel off the back, stick it on, still has the laminate on, and there you go, you've got yourself a sticker. They're very helpful there at Officeworks, so just talk with them, explain what you want, and they can help you with that. But yeah, so just a bit of a look. So you got the front, you got a nice little screen. I'm not quite sure what size that is, but I'll give you a bit of a demo with the games when I fire it up. And this is how you access the arcade machine through the back panel. This here is just something I've added to. It's just some lights, but I'll show that a bit better soon. There's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws that hold this in place. I've removed a few and just have 3 for quick access. The power 12 voltage is here. You just connect that in to your socket. That's ready to go. At the top here is the power button. And you got menu, volume. This all here is primarily geared towards the screen, so you can change little things, the sound and whatnot. But I'll take this back off and I'll show you a little bit closer inside. So that's the back off. I've just got a light there so we can see a bit easier. But these are the screws. Whoop, those are the screws there. They just slot in the top and the sides. So what you've got here, so this comes built as is. There's nothing you have to do in regards to any of the screen or power supply or anything like that. The only thing you have to do is, and I'll move this to the side, this here is a Raspberry Pi 4. So you've got the Raspberry Pi 3B Plus, which is the earlier model, and that's just a little less powerful than the Raspberry Pi 4, 4GB model. I think that's the one I've got, the 4GB model. This one here, the 4GB model, is more powerful. It's able to run games a bit more efficiently, and it's able to tolerate a little bit more in relation to a myriad of things. So it's the next model up from this one, but the 3B Plus itself is capable of doing a whole heap of things. They're both good. What you can see on here, these little things, 1, 2, 3, and you can see I've put some on the Pi 4 as well, and you can source these from Jaycar and online. They're called Heatsinks, and it just assists the Pi, because essentially it's a single board computer. This setup doesn't have any fans to cool it like you do your PCs and whatnot, and that just acts as a mechanism to distribute the heat, or however Heatsinks works. It just keeps the Pi cool, stops it from overheating. So once you get your device, you buy it, it's as is, it's exactly like that. All you're required to do is unscrew the back, grab your Pi 3B Plus or your Pi 4, and essentially just this 1, 2, 3, 4 little slots, metal slots that stick up from the bottom, and you just place the Pi directly on top of it, and you screw them in. 1, 2, 3, 4 screws in, and that's it. Your Pi is secure. Your single board computer is secured in there. Depending on what you have, they both have different connections for the power supply and the HDMI. So with your 3B Plus, which is this one, you've got your conventional HDMI connection. However, with your power supply, which is here, you've got the old USB, gosh, I can't remember the term for it. There's an old USB connector power type, which escapes me right now, and that's how you power these on. And on the Pi 4, 4GB, let me just get that right. So that's how it sits in, both of them the same. You can see the HDMI and the power connector. So this here is the USB, the HDMI, and then you've got the power connector. Now they both have adapters to them, and that's the adapters there, 1 and 2. So if you're using the 3B Plus, you don't need the adapters. These, the power, I think it's USB-C, Type-C, and HDMI standard, can just plug straight in to the standard HDMI and USB. That's for the 3B Plus, and you're fine to go in relation to the USB. The HDMI obviously is connected to the screen. Yep. So you've got one end, and it comes down to the other. You just plug it in, and the power supply is the same. It's hooked up, obviously, to that little thing there. If you're using a Raspberry Pi 4, you're required to just buy 2 adapters. I believe they come. I know that the power supply adapter for the USB-C, USB Type-C, I'm pretty sure that comes with the box, this arcade machine. However, this takes as well, the Pi 4, a micro HDMI. So those are the 2 adapters. You need a USB Type-C adapter and a micro HDMI adapter. These can be sourced from Jaycar as well. You can talk to them about it, but that's the one thing you have to keep in mind if you're using a Raspberry Pi 4 versus a 3B Plus. 3B Plus, you can just secure that in there with screws, and then you don't need any adapters. The HDMI standard and the power supply can just plug straight in. If you're using a Raspberry Pi 4, you need these 2 adapters. Talk to the members at Jaycar, they can help you. It's pretty straightforward. The only other thing you need to do is this right here, and I'll give you a bit of I've got one that's ripped out of another device. So this right here, this is basically, I don't know the fancy term for it, but it is the wiring that connects the Raspberry Pi 4 to all the, so I'll show you this in a few moments, but to all the buttons and the joysticks. So underneath, which you probably can't see, on one end to all the buttons and the joysticks, you have all this. You have these connected, daisy chained, and they're all connected to the little buttons, and these are connected to the side of the joysticks. You have all those connected from one end, and on the other end you have this, which connects into, so I'll show you on the 3B Plus here, right there, click. And there's a way, I think, it shows you the instructions. So you've got to connect this to the 3B Plus, and then basically that cord runs with all these little attachments, and these connect to the arcade buttons and the side of the joysticks. And that's the same mechanism too for that's a Pi 3, for the Pi 4. So on the Pi 4, you can see that same adapter there, that's running all the way to the front where these buttons are, and that's where all these are connected. And that's pretty much it. That's all you have to do for configuration for this arcade machine. Unscrew the back, get your Pi 3B Plus or 4, place it in, screw it in, 4 screws, connect your HDMI, your power supply, if it's a 4 Raspberry Pi 4, you just need the 2 adapters and just connect the attachment to the arcade buttons just there like I showed you. It's a good idea to get your heat sinks and they can just be stuck on. There's 1, 2, 3. Here's a closer look. 1, 2, 3. You can buy them, like I said, online or at Jaycar and just put them on. Helps it from overheating. And then you just screw this back on. The only other thing, it looks like a bit of a hot mess. I've just added a few little connectors and put my own USB light, which filters out this little square here, which I also bought from Jaycar. And this is USB powered. At the back of these units, you've got USB slots, amongst other things, but those there are used for, you can use these as little, you can connect controllers basically to these. I won't get into it in this video, but you can collect controllers and a whole heap of things. But what I've done here is, yeah, just a USB powered little light, and it connects basically to the back of the USB slot and it powers it through the USB. So when you kick this on, there's a little light going. But I'll just close this up and we'll continue. So that's back on, and yeah, just a little bit of a look. That's all I've done here is there's a little hole that this comes with. It comes with a little hole there and a little slot. But I've just pulled my little USB light out here, just hot glued it, secured it with a little clip, and then just in there, and that's it. So that's secured back on. So again, all you need to do is take that off, screw that in, plug the HDMI, plug the power supply, and plug in the connector for the joysticks and buttons, and secure it back up. What I'll do is, before I plug it in and give a bit of a demo, is this will be a future demo when I have it up and running. This here is another option that Jaycar sell, and it's a little beauty. I actually had it up and running, and then I tried to be an awesome technician and mucked up the wires, so I got to buy a new one. I can't be bothered soldering them and all that kind of stuff, but that was my fault. Well, this is basically a 2-player deck that Jaycar sell as well, and it's pretty much this. It's pretty much that, but without the screen, and 2-player. So it's the exact same requirements to set it up to a degree. So this here comes as is. I've added these stickers, like I said, just source them, and then yeah, Officeworks, print them on sticky paper, laminate them, cut them out, and yeah, any design you want. So what this is designed for, this is a 2-player, and I'll open it up. This here, you basically get this supports a 3B and a Raspberry Pi 4. This actually fits the 3B snug. The Pi 4, you've just got to jiggle it around a bit. But that's where that's where the 3B plus goes, right there. There's four little 1, 2, 3, 4. You line those up. There's these little screws. You screw those back in, and then the back of there, they're all accessible through here, if you can see. But all you do then is, if you've got the power supply, which is identical to this arcade, and if it's again a 3B plus, this just slots straight into there, and you've got the HDMI, and this is a standard, and that slots straight into there. And then the only other requirement is this, And when this is in, this side is basically, again, connected to all the buttons and the joysticks. And the other end, just, which is this, connects right there. And I think, yes, I think this end has a little stub, and that's meant to be facing inwards, but it's on the instructions. And that's all you have to do. Screw the little single board computer in, 3B plus, standard HDMI, and the power. If it's a 4, if you're using a Raspberry Pi 4, 4 gigabyte, sorry, a 4 Raspberry Pi 4, you just got to get the adapter, little adapter here, and a little adapter there for the micro HD, and then plug them in. That's the only other thing you have to do, and you're essentially ready to go with this one as well. And then all you do is, with this device, obviously remember this one has a computer built in. With this device, you just hook up your 12-volt power supply to the back here, plug it into the wall, and your HDMI cable to your TV. And then after a little bit of coding, very, very simple, you've got yourself a 2-player arcade machine. Sorry, I did forget. The only other thing you have to do is right there, where you got to put that micro SD card in, just slot that in with the operating system, RetroPie and emulation station, and it's the same mechanism. You've got to access it from a PC through Wi-Fi, and then you can basically transfer over all your games, which you can source online. And again, after a little bit of configuration, you got yourself a 2-player arcade deck. But this is something I'll showcase when I get this replaced. And that there's a little beauty. But back to here, I'll turn this on and give you a bit of a demo. So we've got it all plugged in again. So just the power to the wall goes in there. And I might turn the lights off actually when I turn this on to see if we get some awesome little effects from the light. Okay, look at that. So the power button's at the top. It's loading up the system. And with these as well, you can load, so that's a RetroPie operating system, and emulation station will be the front end that we run all the games and everything off. Emulation station. So yeah, with this device, let's turn the volume down. With this device, sorry, I'll turn this around actually and show you the back what it looks like. So yeah, little cool. You can see all the insides. Sorry, the camera shut off then. But yeah, you can see looks pretty awesome at the back actually. You can just see the USB lights from Jaycar. Again, they're just being run by USB through the back of the Pi. You can change all the settings there. Pardon me. Yeah, power supply. Turn this back around. I'll turn the lights back on. So yeah, with this system, so it's got emulation station running, and I've obviously configured it myself, but once you start this up, it'll go through a little bit of a loading process, and you'll have something like this. This is a theme that you can download in time, but the standard themes are a bit more basic, and what that basically comes up with is just your system and the games inside. So yeah, this is just a bit of a showcase, but I'll have the links all in the description to assist you in regards to setting up your Wi-Fi, setting up your Pi, accessing it from the computer and transferring your files over. I'll also add some scripts on there, and yeah, a bit of a disclaimer, I have no experience whatsoever in any coding or anything to that extent. Everything I've done is just learnt off YouTube. So I bought these, and yeah, the Pi, I've just watched YouTube. The benefit of this is I'll put it nice and succinctly in the description, so you can just go ahead, and it shouldn't be an issue setting it up yourselves. And if you do have issues, feel free to send me a message and I'll help out where I can. But a bit of a preview here. So with this theme, so generally when you have it set up, you'll have your systems that show up. So I've got all up on this micro SD card. I've got RetroPie, I've got emulation station. This is emulation station, and this is a comic book theme. It's pretty cool. Oh, I like it. But on this, I've got 5,349 games or ROMs loaded onto here. When you do start this up and go through your small configurations, you just got to quickly set up your controllers, and that's by pressing start. You got to go down, there's a configuration input, go into that, yes, and then it'll prompt you basically to yeah, press up, down, left, right. It'll have A, B, X, and you just press a button, another button, another button. That's start, that's select, and then you're ready to go. If you get to a button that you don't want to use, because you've already used them, you just hold it down, and hold a button down that you've already mapped, and it'll skip it. And that's it, you can start navigating everything through here. So yeah, just a bit of a demo. Here's arcade, the arcade system. There's 2,039 games on there. And with this setup that I've got a little screen videos and the descriptions. I'll have a look at a quick game. What is there? Oh, yep, it's got everything on here, basically. And I'll just go to yeah. Don Pachi, I don't know how that's called. That's a pretty cool game. I'll go to that, give you a bit of a demo. Just loading up. Have it. Just a little arcade. You can control everything on screen here. To exit, I've just set it up to hold this button and that. Sorry, that was just the power button for the screen. You can turn that back on and off. Turn that down. So that was one arcade game, and they just got all the anything you can source on the internet, you can copy over here. The emulators available. Again, they just got so many games. You got your old Street Fighters and everything in arcade. But I'll move on to some of the other systems. So that's arcade. You got your old Atari. There's 3 variants of that. 3 different arcade Atari systems. Dreamcast. Dreamcast is good. It plays most of the. And again, if you've got a 3B Plus inside here, it can play up to a certain degree. They can't play Sega Saturn, and it can play some Dreamcasts, alright, but a Raspberry Pi 4 plays Dreamcast very well. And some Sega Saturn games, but there's a bit of tweaking you got to do for that. What have we got? Okay, we'll play a bit of Dolphin Blue. That's basically sort of like Metal Slug with dolphins. Put some quarters in. Other games here. This is a pretty cool game. The old school Fist of the North Star. It's a fighting game on the Dreamcast, and I think it's on a few other systems as well. This has quite nice graphics, this game. Getting shield.
The time of retribution. That's one. Decide the destiny.
That game. Let's move on to something else. You get your old school Nintendo 64. There's a bit of in-game configuration for this, but that can play quite a few games. Old school Neo Geo, NES, the old NES game, a NES system, and that can play all the NES games. What is this? Let's give this a go. It's like a Gallagher. Oh. Good. Never said I was good. So it's NES. There's tons and tons of NES games. PSP, this runs actually PSP, the 3B Plus not so well, but the 4 Raspberry Pi 4, which is in here, runs it quite well. What do we have? Oh yeah, some of the games that I do like is the Tekken series. So yeah, this can run pretty much the majority of the old PSP system, handheld game system, the Pi 4 can. I'll give you a quick demo with some of the games. And again, those little heat sinks that are on, that I showed you earlier, that helps the single board computer from overheating. So it just helps it run more efficiently. So again, a disclaimer, I don't have any awesome knowledge, so majority of what I say is pretty much on the right track, but don't quote me if I'm wrong.
Get ready for the next round. Round one.
Oh,
You win. Round two. Fight.
that's not. So that's Tekken. And yeah, they got a whole heap of games on PSP that are awesome. Tons and tons of games. Street Fighter, I think there's a Street Fighter Alpha. That's a cool game. You can actually set up Street Fighter Alpha to just have one button specials, which is pretty cool. I think that's I think this is the only Street Fighter variant, Alpha Max, where you can do that. unless excluding other hacks and other games with hacks or whatnot. This is the only game stock standard where you can set them up to have the one player specials, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Street Fighter Alpha Max on the PSP. Awesome game. One player only, but unless you can buy online, there's a arcade decks Pandora box, and they're hacked to play 2 players, but that's, yeah, something different. So let's go to training mode, choose Ryu. So normally it's just normal play. And again, this is on training. You can do your Hadoukens. But one thing I like about Street Fighter Alpha Max 3 is that you can go into the button config, and you can change this so your buttons have specials. And so, for an example, these now when you come back in and you hit a button, you can just that's pretty cool. And you can do them for all the specials and all that kind of stuff. You can, so yeah, that's pretty cool. And I'll just show 1 or 2 more systems on here, and I think that's enough. PlayStation as well. You can play all the PlayStation games on here, all your old school PlayStation games. It's got the old Tekkens and the old Street Fighters and Mortal Kombat. Oh, let's play Mortal Kombat Trilogy. That's an old favourite on the PlayStation. I like playing with this version. You can play with the bosses. Playing with Goro and Kintaro, I think his name is. Kintaro.
Choose your destiny.
Novice.
Fight.
So yeah, that's PlayStation. I think it's all the systems. Oh, SNES. You can play all the you can play all the old school SNES games. I'll give you a quick demo on the SNES. We'll play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Time, an old classic. I think we're only a few months away from seeing the new version of that. There's a new version coming out, which looks absolutely awesome. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Time. There's an arcade variant and a Super Nintendo variant. I'll show you the Super Nintendo. Cowabunga. And these, I don't know if I've mentioned it, they retail I think for about 160, but they're on special I think last time I checked with my local Jaycar. I know you can throw them against the screen. I'll try to do that. Woohoo! So yeah, that's that game. And one more system that I'll show you, but there is a little bit of configuring that you have to do with that, and I'll try to add some descriptions in the links below. But yeah, there is a little bit of muck around with that. Is the open ball system, and what the open ball system is, it's this cool system. It's basically a side scroller hack, like your old school Double Dragon, and just a group of people or people out there, they've made a whole heap of games with the open ball just to do with a whole heap of games. One that I've set up on here, you will need a keyboard to set this up, is Bruce Lee. Whoops. So with these games, once you go in, you just got to go in with a keyboard and you can configure these buttons and whatnot. And again, I'll try to add a link in the description with that, but that is a little bit of a muck around that system. And we're back. Sorry, the camera cut out again. But yeah, so the open ball system, this is a Bruce Lee game that's been created. And yeah, this game's off the charts. It's so cool. So normally when you have to configure the open ball, you have to go in and all that stuff, but I have got it done already. With this one, you can choose the outfits, and then you just kick some butts. Oh, okay. I'll try to kick some butt. while since I played this game. So yeah, that's open ball, but you've got tons of games and variants with that system as well. So just in closing, just a few more little things about this system and the capabilities. But what you can hear is music, and that's another option you can do with the Raspberry Pi. Once you have it set up, you can just access it, drag all your music over, just set up a little script, which I'll try to add in the description, and then you can just, this will just play your music, all your songs that you have randomly, stop them when you play a game, start them again. You can customize your music. You can also add intro videos, so when you power it up, it plays a short video, and that's simple. That's you don't have to do anything with coding. You can just copy videos over and it just randomly chooses them. Other than that, let's turn that down. That is a bit of a snapshot in relation to what this little beast can do from Jaycar. Again, I'll add all the links in the description as to where you can purchase this, but awesome little device. It's good for novice tinkerers. If you're a little bit younger, you're going to need some assistance, unless you're quite savvy with computers. But that's it. Jaycar, you can source all your materials from there, predominantly all your materials. You might have to source your micro SD card from another shop. Officeworks is pretty good, but you can get micro SD cards from everywhere. And yeah, good little device with lots and lots of fun. And again, once I have this up and running, I'll give you a little demo of that as well. Hope you enjoyed the video, got something out of it, and catch you next time.